What's going on, everybody? Phil here, Waypoint Cafe. Cruz is not on right now, so we're gonna wait for him to do that. But while we wait, I guess we can kind of introduce what's going on, or I can introduce to you guys what's going on. As you can see, I got the bare walls here. This is the new place. I don't know if you guys actually checked out the previous videos, but Cruz is actually in Croatia. So he's out on his adventures and misadventures. I'm here in Ecuador. I'm actually at a new place. Been to this new house that we've been renting out for the past 3 weeks. So there's still a lot to do as far as settling in. But overall, I think I'm you know getting acquainted with a lot of stuff. But with Cruz, like I said, he's out on the road. He's out in Croatia. Almost it's been like 3 weeks now. So I don't know what he's been up to over the weekend. I didn't really catch up with him that much. He sent a text to me, and for me right now, it's been the weekend has been pretty busy. Not much adventures on my part, at least. The type of adventures that I've been doing is a little bit different, a little bit more domestic. So one of the key things uh, that I've been doing is trying to renovate some of the things in the house, kind of make it a little bit more, a little bit more personable and things like that. In between the time, trying to take care of a lot of computer stuff. Actually, this last week, I've actually been dealing with a lot of computer issues, but hopefully some of that is resolved. Was able to work on the computer over the weekend. Actually, took the laptop apart. So that's what I'm doing out here in Ecuador. I know it seems like sometimes some of the activities might be all crazy adventures and things like that, but there's quite a bit of downtime. Um, where we get time to relax and things like that. And part of the reason too why my schedule has been kind of, I guess you could say, normal. I try to keep like a regular schedule. 9 to 6 is usually Monday through Friday is usually what I try to do or try to get a handle of. Um, 9 to 6 meaning Eastern time, not Ecuadorian time because they don't have daylight savings here. Normal exercise, 3 days a week. Finally have this is a really cool thing, guys. One of the things that I've been encountering, um, or one of the issues that I actually had before I left to Ecuador was I sprained my right ankle. It hasn't been my first time in my life. I mean, I could probably say about, I don't know, 6 to 8 times in my lifetime. Just on my right ankle, I've sprained it. So I was out of commission for a while, so I couldn't run and work on cardio. And the last couple of weeks, I was able to do that. So I was pretty excited. I was pretty excited about being able to run. And man, was it difficult at first. So getting myself back in the swing of things. But one of the issues when you have an injury is that it doesn't really go away and affects the other parts of your body. So even though I was able to run the other day, it wasn't the most ambitious, and it wasn't my best, you know, running day. But regardless, 30 minutes, roughly, I would say about 5 kilometers would be a rough estimate. Maybe a little bit less because I wasn't running that fast. But the climate here out in Santa Elena is the province that I'm staying in. It's Today it's actually quite sunny. Actually, because my desk is, I don't know if you can see this. You won't be able to see it because of the exposure with the light. But anyway, um, the weather out here is can be hot. Like today was a really hot day, and the previous uh, just this past weekend was actually kind of cold. It was all cloudy. You might have to wear a sweater, but otherwise, for the most part, it's normally very warm, and it's very limited when the times when it rains here. So I mean, it's semi-arid weather. You go outside, you're gonna see like sagebrush and things like that, quite a bit of sand and whatever else, which is a type of climate that I particularly like. and it's enabled me to do a lot of things outside. So one of the things that I actually did outside in the last couple of weeks was worked on the yard. So in the backyard of the house is actually a large, extremely large maracuya, which is passion fruit, large passion fruit tree, and this thing yields so much passion fruit. But in the meantime, the vines from the passion fruit tree has actually connected to the wall of the house, the external wall of the house, and brought a bunch of ants. So one of the things that we've been trying to do since Sophia and I moved in to this new place is dealing with the ants. I mean, you can have like one little crumb of food on the floor and the ants will just come marching in. It's absolutely insane um, how that's been. And part of the reason for that was because I believe it was the passion fruit tree vine connects to the wall. And one of the interesting things is I ended up having a really good look of the passion fruit like up close, and there's parts of the stem that specifically just connect to surfaces, and it spirals around it, and then they use that as a way to like climb onto surfaces. So it's almost like a weed, and then it grows on top of everything. And so there's also a mango tree, there's a chocolate tree, and there's also I don't know one other fruit tree. And the passion fruit tree has really just grown into everything, and even now. So we so what we did was we actually cut some of the branches that connect to the fence outside in the backyard, that also connected to the clothing line used to dry clothes and things like that because there's no dryers here. Wash them in the washer. But anyway, so um, in between the time of cutting the vines, even to this day, after just a couple of weeks, the vines have actually started to grow back extremely fast. And I think that's part of the reason why the tree itself yields so much passion fruit. I mean, like you'll in a given week you'll have like 12 or 13 passion fruits. And they think these things are very large. So that was a little fun activity, but the problem that happened or the issue that occurred because I was up in the weeds, cutting things with a saw, cutting things with a pair of scissors or industrial sized scissors. I ended up getting a rash. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see. This is all natural, by the way. That there's two dots there, and it's almost like poison ivy. It's almost like poison ivy. Um, so we left the other place, right? And one of the issues there was that the mosquitoes would just eat me up. So we go to this new place, this house, and instead of having mosquitoes, I end up giving myself this rash. So now I still have the rash. Again, it's just I believe it's my skin is just allergic to one of the plants there. I'm not really sure. And there was also these caterpillars that were eating the leaves that I found the following day after cutting all the branches and things like that. But yeah, the passion fruit itself grows extremely fast. So one of the things that Sophia and I have been trying to figure out is how to mitigate that issue, especially since one, it grows very fast, but on top of that, you don't want to change the yield of the passion fruit. And if you guys ever tried fresh passion fruit juice, especially the sour kind, I like the sour type. Out here in Ecuador, it's bountiful. Like I was saying, there's a lot of almost every day I have fresh passion fruit juice that I'm very fortunate to have that Safina makes because the fruits are just in the backyard. So that's one of the projects that we're working on. A personal project that I'm working on is creating drawings. So I know before I get to that, I know there's some weird misconceptions, right, about traveling out there and all we're doing is drinking vodka and going on adventures, jumping out of airplanes and all that kind of stuff. But to be quite truthful, there's I think a little bit of stability goes a long way. And for me, it's a lot of it's just sticking to a particular routine. So one of the things that I've been doing is that I've actually been recreating the house as a 3D model, and I'm actually in the kind of the penultimate at the end of that project where I can transfer over. And if anyone who's watching out there knows that I'm actually really into VR, also like creating stuff in VR. So yeah, so that's one of the projects that I'm working on, and one of the things that really helped me about doing the drawings is understanding the constructions, or at least just from a kind of outside looking in, the way the houses are constructed here. And because most of the houses are actually constructed with concrete. And if you guys are familiar with geography, Ecuador sits at the Ring of Fire, which is basically an area where um, earthquake can occur because of volcanic activity and liquid hot magma in the earth. So one of the ways to maintain safety is to have very durable houses. Part of the reason for that is concrete. Now, the other interesting aspect too is that so a lot of houses have actually corrugated roofs, and for the longest time, I thought that the corrugated roofs were actually made of metal. But believe it or not, a large portion of them is actually made of concrete. And that was something that I learned my- from being here previously. So, when because they actually have some pieces of the roof that wasn't used when the house was constructed. Now, if you guys have any questions or anything like that, again, I don't know when Cruz is going to show up, but most of the time you guys don't see me, so I'm the guy behind the curtains. Again, all natural, okay? No liposuction. So, so yeah, so part of my day is dedicated to that. And when I'm having a good day, or if I want to get ahead of staying healthy, one of the things that I do during my breaks during the course of the day, and this is typically pretty early, is I just go out to the park, which is nearby, and I start doing pull-ups. I've been doing pull-ups since I was probably about 12 or 13 years old. So I'm 39 now. So I've been doing that for a while. So if you're wondering why I'm in good shape, part of it is just getting into good habits, right? And the reason why I bring this up is because there's this misconception, right, that sometimes people are out there and all they're doing is going out to the beach, which I could possibly do if I wanted. But there is activity during the course of the day where staying productive. And I don't know if you guys watch Jordan Peterson. Do any of you guys watch that? But I watched Jordan Peterson, and he makes up a really good point that people shouldn't be striving just for happiness, that they should be striving, and I could be butchering this, people should be striving for purpose, and trying to develop skills and things like that that can be useful for people and things like that. So, man, great philosopher. When I'm doing stuff on the computer and I don't really, I don't know if you guys do this, but if you're working on something and you don't really have to use, like, if you're not having to solve math problems or reconstruct wording and things like that, just having some good, just good podcast or something good in the background, just talking about life is very insightful. So that's one of the ways that I stay productive. So on top of doing the 3D drawings and things like that, staying in shape, you know, um, I haven't done one on pull-ups in a long time, but staying in shape and being out in Ecuador, you know, a lot of my routines themselves haven't really changed, which is the only thing that I would say that's been going on since I've been doing this now for over a year is that um, because I have the ability and the time, it enables me to really decide on what's important uh, for me for the course of the day. And so here, the culture is very different in regards to time. And and one of those, I think one of the things that that I forget for myself when when I do things is that sometimes it's just good to take a break. Sometimes it's good to just relax a little bit, because at least in American culture, from my understanding, is that everyone's so fast paced, and many times we don't give ourselves that time to just kind of absorb what's going on. And I think that's valuable one of the most valuable cultural aspects out here in Ecuador that that's pretty good. And it can be part of some sort of frustration as well because we're just not used to that. But just getting that opportunity to just um, you know absorb that side of the culture and absorb what's going on here. And I'll tell you what, anyone that's out there that's ever considered traveling, I know that, like I said, Cruz is out Ecuador, Cruz is out in Croatia. I'm here in Ecuador. There are, if you are from the U.S. and you're considering traveling, there are only a handful of countries right now that are available for travel. Croatia and Ecuador, obviously, being the two that people from the U.S. can travel to. And the process itself is not that difficult. One of the key things is to make sure that you get your PCR test, for the beer bug. But otherwise, it really comes down to deciding what type of experience that you want when traveling, and then on top of that, if I think one of the things that we also have to consider, right, when we're traveling, especially since of all the craziness that's been going on this year, is to also prepare for the possibility that we might get stuck at a particular place. So having funds, having any legal stuff, whatever it is, having a place to stay, you know, getting to know people locally. Those are all kind of very important aspects about traveling, especially long term. Like I said, for me, I've been doing this now for over a year, so it's been it's been a very interesting experience, and I continue to enjoy it. And again, so for me here, I mean, the biggest thing is that Sophia and I moved from one place to the other, and that took up like a good portion of the weekend. So I'd like to think that what I'm doing here is, I have people that I care about here, and unfortunately, I can't stay at a longer length of time because of the visa situation. But if you, but with that being said, you know, even without a visa, you get 3 months and you don't need a visa to stay over a place. So any people that are out there, that strictly work online, if you guys are looking for a place that will enable you to do a lot of things, I think places like Croatia. I've never been in Europe, but the places that I have been to so far, traveling in Peru and traveling in Ecuador, I can tell you right now, you know, I think there's a lot of misconceptions about what's out here, and believe it or not, like the internet here is actually quite good. There's actually fiber optics, and we can actually increase the speed of the internet at the place, but it's not necessary because there's only so much bandwidth that certain applications or services that are going to use, so it's not necessary. And I can tell you right now, I've been playing that new Star Wars Squadrons in VR. Yo, whew, I used to have like a pretty weak stomach. If you guys have not played that, it is absolutely amazing. Like, and I've never played it, pancake version like on the screen or whatever. So again, this is one of the things that I do while I'm out traveling. And I've had the opportunity to hang out with one of my friends who just has an iron stomach, you know, but you put your headset on and you're in space and you're doing dog fights with like people from around the world and things like that. And people, the game was released about what, 3 weeks ago, and people are so good at that game right now, so good. And one of the great things too is that um, the VR experience is that there's already uh, I read an article saying that there was roughly about 15% of the population playing that game is using a VR headset. That's actually really good. And so yeah, it's been fun. It's been very fun. And you do need a pretty heavy duty computer. My laptop does okay on that department, but overall, I mean, like I said, it's you feel like you're in space. And on top of that, if anyone is going to jump into it in VR, I would recommend training. And and I don't use that word very lightly. Like you got to train for your mind to handle the VR space, especially with all the spinning and looping and shooting. But man, do you really feel like you're there. And I'm fortunate that I have a laptop that's powerful, and you get all the great special effects like the lighting. So if there's like sunshine, coming from the side, and then you turn your ship, and then you see all the shadows shift inside the cockpit. It's really cool. So yeah. So on top of doing yard work, which believe it or not, I actually don't like. I'm playing video games at night, and again, a lot of it too is so Sophia works full time during the day, and then for me, I would just work from this room here. So before it was from the I was gonna say dormitorio, but I actually have this separate room now where, as you can see in the background, I have the one of the sensors for the VR. So yeah. On top of that, can test out some of the 3D models and some of the programs that I put together. So yeah. So in that regards, yeah, that's what's going on out here. I still haven't heard from Cruz, which is fine. And if you guys have any questions about, again, the digital nomad lifestyle, questions about the traveling, how am I going about doing things, feel free to ask, because I'm just going to be spitballing because Cruz is not on right now. And again, I'm usually the guy behind the curtains. That's usually the way I prefer things, but you know, I can go on camera. I'm not foreign to being in front of the camera. It's not that difficult, right? This is just me again, all natural. You know what? My left bicep has more of a nice striation compared to my right, but my right's like beefier. You know, this is actually, to be honest, my arms are kind of like this most of my life. But again, you count how many times. So every week, okay, every week, I'm so lazy. I'm so lazy that every week I do 40 pull-ups. But I'm so lazy that I don't want to do 4 sets of 10 pull-ups. So I end up just doing 2 sets of 20. Right. So if you want to be lazy about exercising and you still want to hit that number that you're aiming for, do double the amount per rep, right, or per set, and then you'll be done. So typically, my back workout exercise lasts about 10 minutes. Okay, so that's what it takes. And one of the great things about pull-ups that you guys should probably consider if you guys decide that you're gonna do that. And this is one of the ways that if you're going to be traveling and you want to stay in shape, is that you want to maintain a pretty good workout routine. You can't just be going out there just eating everything that you want, drinking. I mean, that's up to you. I'm not going to be the judge. I'm just saying from my experience, if you're gonna go out there and you want to maintain your health, it behooves you to, you know, stick to an exercise routine, whether or not you're out there on vacation or you're staying out there in long term. And I think one of the things that you do have to consider if you do stay in a place long term, you do get the opportunity to optimize your time or to even make your time more suitable for your normal routine. Because I know there's a lot of people out there right now that are working from home. But one of the great things is that when you get to work from home, technically you get to work. from anywhere. And that is really, it's really such a blessing, to have that ability to do that. And then, with like what Cruz was describing before, right? Was that in Croatia, what is he like 6 hours ahead over there? So he was saying that he works better over there because it's back to his normal time when he was working at the restaurant, right? So so it's enabled him to, I guess, to be a little bit more comfortable when working, which is a really good thing, you know. And that might be something to consider if you're going to go out there and travel and do the digital nomad thing, is to consider your time, instead of you working your time around another thing, right? So I don't know. It's kind of just a strange observation where, if you do have the luxury, and I yes, it is a luxury to be able to work from anywhere. And I'm not saying that everyone should consider doing it the way I do it, but if you have that ability to really optimize it so that, you're the most effective or you're the most alert and things like that, it might make sense to consider going to a place where, if you're a morning person, does it make sense to go, farther west in the US, you know, and and get stuff done that way. I mean, that's one of the great luxuries about what's going on. So, a lot of places might do, 8 to 4:30, 9 to 5. Now you have that ability to change that model to your desire. So it really opens up this flexibility. It's and on top of that, and still being part of the organization that whatever you guys are in. So it's really a beautiful thing. And um, again, if you're fortunate enough to do that, I mean, more power to you, because it also gives you the opportunity to check out stuff that's unfamiliar to you. And one of the things that, again, Jordan Peterson does a really good job of articulating some of these thoughts, but putting yourself in uncomfortable situations that you otherwise wouldn't do. And this enables you to learn faster, right? Because you're having to think on your feet about about the environment that you're in, about the culture that you're experiencing. um, and it gives you that ability to kind of think outside the box as far as, troubleshooting certain issues, or, what do you do if you lose your shoes, or whatever it is. That was about actually that was um, or you know what I mean. Like, again, it's one of those things like here. So I want to talk about I want to talk about, this whole digital nomad thing, y- y- a lot more, because um, out here in Santa Elena, there's a small town called Bayanita, and in Bayanita, there's actually a fairly large grocery store. It's almost like the Walmart. It's not as big as Walmart, but it's kind of like the Walmart of of Ecuador. It's called Commissariat, and it's kind of a department store. It's definitely a grocery store, but they have clothes, they have tools, paint, toys. I mean, the whole nine yards. And they do branch out to other more focused stores, like, they have just structural materials and things like that. But one of the curious things is that you can tell there's actually a lot of people from the U.S., or at least from North America, coming down here, because I actually I actually bought Beyond Meat non-meat burgers in the grocery store in Commissariat. Okay, it was hell of expensive, expensive. I'm talking. I think it was like $8.50, $9 for like two patties. Like, you weren't getting a lot. And to be honest, I didn't really like it that much. Their sausage patty at least at Dunkin' Donuts is a lot better than their burger patty in in but I that's neither here nor there. The most important thing is that, I mean, you have you have this brand, you have this brand of I guess modern day food, super engineered food, right? That's supposed to be healthier for you, um, out here in Ecuador. And believe it or not, I see a lot of gringos too when I go out to the grocery store. Um, I preferably would, like to buy vegetables and meat in the mercado, the open market. It's a lot cheaper. It's a lot fresher. Um, so so yeah, there's those opportunities. But otherwise, I mean, there's in Vallenita alone, there's actually a lot of gringos. Okay, and and believe it or not, it's very amiable here. Like it's very tranquilo, and that's one of the I think the things that attracts a lot of people here. And that's this area in particular, I don't think is the most populated with gringos or extranjeros or foreigners. The one of the popular spots is actually Cuenca, which is, I want to say, farther south and in the mountains. But one of there's a couple that I follow. They actually live here in not in Bainita, but a little bit more north in this small town called Olon, which is again very popular for foreigners. A lot of English speakers out there. Great tourist spot. Great mariscos or seafood. If you guys love seafood, I'll tell you what, where I'm at, awesome. Yesterday, Sophia's mother made some paella with, some native crab out here. Absolutely amazing. Had some shellfish and things like that. But want to point that out, like there's there's quite a bit of Americans out here, and the people here are super welcome. So the next great thing too is the food. I might have talked about this for a while. At some point, of I'm going to post videos of some of the food stuff that I've had, and I haven't done that yet. So be on the lookout for that. But there's this amazing dish that's typically you can only get it in the beaches here. It's called bollo de pescado. It's it's mashed plantains with albacore fish, right? Wrapped in a banana leaf, and it's kind of like it's warm in the container, and then you buy it. It's like $1 or $2, and when you buy it, it's served with rice that's you can either get the rice that's just white rice, or you can get one that's slightly burned. And I always get the one that's slightly burned, and then a side of the salsa, which is typically kind of spicy, and then lemon. One of the things that absolutely love about the food here in Ecuador is that their use of lemon and plantains. Like, oh, I mean, the combination of food is just absolutely amazing. But anyway, bollo de pescado. The first time I had it, I was out in Mañanita, which is just a little bit south of Olon, so not too far. Big party town. If you guys are like want to rage and just go out and party, Mañanita is like where it's at. The Especially if you're going during Carnival in South America. Carnival. I'm going to assume that all the South American countries celebrate Carnival. So if you get the chance, come out here at that time. But it is absolutely bonkers. Anyway, um, so I was out in Mananita. Sorry, I'm talking about so much stuff because I'm so excited about talking about bollo de pescado. It's so good. It's seriously like the first time I had it, I was like, oh, I want another one. So anyway, so the you have the mashed plantains, you have the albacore fish inside, right? You open it up. Sometimes they serve it on like a foam plate or anything, and then they give you a side of rice, and then you add the lemon and things like that, and then you just eat it at the beach, and it's like it's absolutely like I don't think you guys realize how good this seafood dish is. If you love seafood, like you have to try this dish. Um, and so Sophia's mother has made it, which it came out amazing. And by the way, she makes um, pico. She makes really good pico de gallo. Because sometimes I just eat the pico de gallo you know from the bowl because it's so good. So boy de pescado, you can find it at the beach area. A lot of places, serve it. The next one of the other great dishes that I particularly like also is called encebollado, which is a fish soup. I want to say they use albacore as well. And one of the things that they serve on the side with it is rice and, you guessed it, plantains, fried plantains. And I'll tell you what, fried plantains goes with everything, everything. I mean, you can have it as a sweet dish, you can have it as a crispy dish, you can have it as as uh, as a snack, or you can have it as like a tostone. So again, it's served with a lot of dishes here, which is something that I absolutely love because I love plantains. So it's kind of like a little bit of heaven for me as far as being able to eat and things like that. But anyway, this albacore fish soup that's typically eaten for breakfast. Now I know what you're thinking. You're like, I don't know if I want I don't know if I want fish in the morning. No, you want this dish in the morning. It's so good. So one of the things that's served with it in the fish soup. So you got this light broth. It doesn't taste fishy at all because we're out here in the coast, right? It's super fresh, super fresh. Let me just flex here for you guys. All the way, look at that. Actually, I lost a little bit of weight, and I've not been eating right. But does that? There you go, there you go. Because I got the light. Look at that. Huh? Think I should be a model? No. Anyway, 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 encebollado. All right. So again, they'll give you a piece of lemon or pieces of lemon, right? They give you your bowl with the broth. It's got fish, and another thing that I absolutely love is yuca. If you guys haven't tried yuca, you need to get on that because it's one of the best dishes. And if you've ever tried a yuca chip, then you know. If you ever tried pan de yuca, which is bread made from yuca, like you haven't lived. There's this uh, there's this restaurant in the Centro de Comercial Libertad, which is the next town over. I know I'm talking about all these different places, talking about all these different places, but Panda Yuca. The first time I've ever had it was actually in Somerville at a Brazilian restaurant, and it was like I fell in love with it. Oh man, yuca is so good. And again, it's a normal dish here. So yuca is served like in a mash, and they kind of make it into a little ball, right? It's served in this encebollado fish soup, right? So you get that starchy. It's very thick too. It's like it's heavy. I think it's heavier than potatoes. But anyway, so they have it served in there. They have it served in the soup, and then you also have lemon. You have lemon, and then you have rice, right? And then on top of that, you can mix in some plantains. Come on, guys, come on. Like, are you kidding me? If if you guys come here when I'm out here, we'll go to these places because I don't mind eating this stuff. The last time I had encebollado was about a week ago. No, a week and a half ago. A week and a half ago. Sophia and I went to a restaurant, really popular line. The line outside is like huge because there's like these two places where the line to get this soup is so big during the weekends in the morning that you have to wait. I mean, but it's worth the wait. And I've definitely every time that I've been there, I've had two bowls of soup. Okay, what a great way to start the day. What a great day to start the day. And it's not heavy. That's one of the great things too. It's not heavy. It's only heavy because I ate so much. Um, so yeah, so that is seafood mariscos out here is absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. One of the other things that I actually like about Ecuador, and this one's kind of an interesting one. The climate, right? So I've already said that earlier, but one of the great things about the climate here is that you can go an hour or 2 hours or 5 hours, and the climate's completely different, right? And it's it's kind of an interesting experience to have when you're traveling around and you go, if so, I'm from New England. If you guys don't know me, I'm from New England. You got to go kind of far to experience a different type of climate. Over here, you don't have to go that far, right? So one of the trips that we actually did like a small little hiking trip. I can't remember. Dos Mangas is the name of the place. And there's this river that runs from the mountain that goes down to Dos Mangas. Now, like I was saying before, here in Santa Elena, the province and the city that I'm in, because Santa Elena is also a province, but it's also a city. So, uh, so the next town over in the Santa Elena province is this place called Dos Mangas, which is north, right before Mañanita and Olón. Now, when you go to this place, when you start going farther north, Dos Mangas, it's when you get off like the main road on the coast and then you start going inland, it turns into like a jungle. It's weird. It's like it's absolutely kind of just an amazing experience. And like even the dirt there is different, right? So when we did the hike, we went along this like river pathway, and we actually got to go in the water, and it was super cold, but it was nice and fresh because it was like hot outside. And the canopy of trees, like um, provided that protection. So it was actually nice and cool. So you had like the cooling capabilities of the river, and like touching all the stones, and then you had the canopy of trees, and that gave you this like this. It was kind of like a natural air conditioner outside. But if you went outside of Dos Mangas, if you went like to the streets where the river wasn't running, it was extremely hot. So that's that's kind of like a very interesting that's kind of like a very interesting aspect out here. And like I said, that's only an hour away on a bus ride, right? So and then if you want to 10-15 minutes north to Mañanita or Olón, boom, Surf City, baby. And I'll tell you what, if you guys want to learn how to surf um, and have really good seafood and nice temperature and things like that, my favorite spot, which is like the other there's actually other YouTubers that I follow that live out there. So in Olón, it's 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 muy tranquilos. It's not as many tourists out there, but there are a lot of foreigners out there. But anyway, one of the great things about that area, and if you're wanting to learn how to surf, is that the waves are very consistent. They're big enough where you feel like was it Slater? Christian Slater? No, Christian Slater is the actor. Whatever. This one of the surf dudes. You feel like a surf dude, right? You go out there, um, you rent a surfboard, you get a rash guard, and then you just get consistent waves. So you can catch almost like every wave you want it to. But it's big enough where you can really ride that wave, but it's small enough where it's not like you're riding a mountain of a wave, right? So the best for me, the best time to go is when there's nobody there at the beach, because the last time I was there was was during it was during a time when there was a lot of tourists. I want to say it was March, but there was a lot of people there, and there was a few times where I was just riding that wave, and you're going pretty fast too. There's just people in the way, and then you have to bail. But that's really so. It just in this area alone, Santa Elena, um, Santa Elena is really a good central point for a lot of areas that you can visit, things like that. And then the process itself to getting into Ecuador is is pretty easy. The main thing, right, is making sure that you have your test. Now, the test that I took was through Rite Aid, uh, and the processing company, which is Verily, I want to say Verily, which is a subsidiary of Google. So it didn't cost anything either. And to top it off, it took less than 24 hours to receive the results via email. So I was worried. So in similar fashion, doing the test, I was a little bit worried about not getting the test because what they do is they send you a message, an email message like, oh, thank you for registering, and getting the results of the test could take anywhere from 2 to 7+ days. So it actually could take longer. And I think one of the things that I I believe should that they should optimize, regulators, is is giving a larger buffer time for the beer bug test, because I don't think the 7 days really gives you enough time to get the results. On top of the fact that sometimes the results might take a long time, it has to get sent out to a lab where they confirm the test. Um, I know that Cruz mentioned that it was self-administered for him. It was the same for me, where they give you the directions, and then it's really bizarre. If anyone's ever tried, let me know what you guys think of the test. But the way in my mind, and I might be a little bit crazy, you guys might think I'm a little bit crazy here, but for me, I thought that the test was both uncomfortable and both uh it was like it was almost like a deep tissue massage for the nose, if that makes any sense. Like it's sort of painful, but you kind of enjoy it at the same time. I don't know if you guys have experience taking the PCR test. Let me know, or let Cruz and I know. But I can tell you right now, like I said, it was a combination of oh, it was uncomfortable, but at the same time, it was also enjoyable. Kind of in similar fashion of like having like a large glob of wasabi, on your sushi, and then you eat it and you're like, ooh, that's painful, but I like the sensation, and then it goes away. I don't know. What do you guys think? But that's just me. Maybe I'm just loco. Okay. So we talked about the food. We talked about places nearby. And I guess one of the things that I should talk about too are the two airports, or the two airports out here, for international flights. So one is in Quito, which is actually outside of Quito. It's not in the city itself. It's actually 45 minutes out in the mountains. It's actually really cool. But it's small, smaller than the Guayaquil airport. Guayaquil airport is the airport that I flew into. It's about, without traffic, to where I'm at right now in the city that I'm in, it's about an hour, 15 minutes, an hour and a half drive from there. So again, as you start getting into the countryside area, the roads aren't as busy. But if you're in the big city, Guayaquil is a huge commercial destination. There's a lot of businesses there. Even if you look at some of the labels for the food, a lot of it's actually manufactured, or a lot of the manufacturing is actually in Guayaquil. Even if they're American brands, a lot of it actually comes from Guayaquil, which is a great city, but not the type of weather that I'm particularly into. And again, like I was describing before, you don't have to go too far to experience a completely different climate. So um, Guayaquil is east of here. East. You guys don't know what direction I'm pointing at. It's farther east. Okay, and over there. So yes, it's hot, but one of the differences is that it's hot and tropical. So it's like extremely humid compared to here. So here you get a little bit more dry weather. The sun is very intense. I would recommend to not go outside without you know sleeves or a hat, because equator, it's the sun's intensity will just rain down on you, and you're gonna get burned bad. BAD, capital BAD. malo, muy malo. One of the first, my first time staying out here long term in Santa Elena, I would walk from Bayanita to Santa Elena to the center of town, and just from walking during in the course of the day, I actually ended up getting a heat rash. Right, I thought it was like I thought I was getting some other, some other issue, but so that's not an uncommon thing. So you want to be able to protect yourself, especially since the sun is, right above, like, it's you want to take care of yourself out here. It's like having Cyclops, uses laser beam eyeballs on you. It's intense, but it's extremely bright. So, and it can get very hot. Like I said, when I say it's semi-arid, when it's dry and hot, it's dry. Like you're going to be sweating just sitting down in the shade. So the heat intensity is immense. But it's also good for training. I always find that, dry, warm weather really gives me the boost. Humid weather is like sticky, makes the veins stick out a lot more. But you know, again, if I was, sure, it's good you have the light from above. You can show the size of the arm. I think I lost some weight, even though I haven't been eating that well. I'd show my abs, but I'm a little nervous, a little self-conscious, because I don't work out all the time. I have to sit down. I have to sit down quite a bit now because I have problems with actually with my legs. So on top of spraining my ankle in September, trying to show my nephew how to do an ollie, and I was trying to tweak the ollie, like stretch it out, and ooh man, I thought I broke my I thought I broke my ankle. It was hilarious. Like it was so painful that I had to laugh because it was ridiculous. Don't skateboard with running shoes. Okay. So anyway, the pain subsided, and I'm all better now. But I think I have tinnitus. I think I have tinnitus in my legs. And despite what people say about like standing up is good, I think it's bad if you're doing it for too long. And I noticed issues actually when I was out in Peru, and I was going super obsessive with making uh, my CG video dreamer. That no word of a lie, guys. That I was I was such in a zone working on this one project that I was trying to complete in a month that I was standing up for 16 hours straight and didn't even realize it until my feet swelled up. And I posted it on Instagram, but my feet swelled up big time. And I had to elevate my feet and actually sit down. So now, like a good portion of time now, I sit down, but I have this like weird feeling on the back side of my leg. So, despite what they tell you, okay, at least from my experience, I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to give you advice. I'm just telling you right now that from my experience, I think um, you that standing up, standing up if you're at a desk is beneficial, but it's not beneficial if you're overdoing it. And I definitely overdid it. Now I'm not talking like I did this for one day. Like I said, I was trying to get this project done in a month. So if anyone knows me, like once I have my teeth synced into a project or something and I'm in the zone, like I'm in the zone and I forget about everything except for that one thing that I'm working on. And that wasn't a good thing, but it was a good thing that I was like extremely focused because I ran into so many problems, technical problems with animation, how it looked visually and things like that. I was one man show. I was one man show putting this thing together. No, that's not true because I had my niece help me out with a voice. I very much appreciate that. What a great actress, great voice. You know, so talented. I mean, I'm very blessed to have nieces and nephews that are super talented. Actually, my nephew showed me a picture that he drew. Just no template or anything like that, but had like a basketball picture on one side, and then had his pen and just drew it out. It was really good. And he hasn't drawn for a while, and it's like, man, this kid needs to get his stuff out there and show people what his skills are. 'Cause his skills are just awesome. And it was very nice to see. It was very nice to see. So yeah, that's wow. Time flies when you're having fun. So yeah, Ecuador. I would highly recommend coming out here in Ecuador, even visiting me. Um, Again, so I only stay here with the length of what's available for the visa and things like that. And it's a really great place. You'd be surprised that it's Ecuador itself is a really great place for travelers and digital nomads. Because believe it or not, one of the interesting things out here that before I actually traveled here, I was doing some research. Ecuador actually has a lot of hostels just along the way. Like you could just like walk down the road and be like, oh, there's a hostel. Cool. Um, but on top of that, if you are a digital nomad, you really you actually have that opportunity too, to have like a shared office space. Now, I don't know what the regulations are from considering that there are restrictions with travel, and are you going to be able to be in the same kind of space with people? But there are a lot of um, you know shared office spaces that you can go to, and especially in the bigger cities like in Quito, there were dozens not far from the place that I was staying at. So if you guys are going to consider doing something like that, or if you guys want an adventure, um, I think one of the distinguishing, and I'll say this will probably be one of my last comments here. But so unlike Croatia, where a lot of people speak English based on what Cruz has described, here in Ecuador, there's a large number of people that only speak. And I don't know about you, but I prefer it that way. And I specifically chose a place when I first went out here to travel, um, that the people around me did not speak English, because the original goal, was to learn Spanish. Now, I'm not saying that I'm perfect in Spanish, far from it, but if you were to compare what my Spanish was like from then until now, much better, much, much better. And very grateful for a lot of the people here, like just patient, just really patient with me. Um, you know, and sometimes, believe it or not, I've said a few of the wrong words, just because there's actually a lot of English words that that are very similar to Spanish, but then there's also some of them don't actually translate directly. But hearing 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 everything and interacting with everybody, it's if you want to learn a language, this is one of the best ways to do it. On top of that, you really get to build very strong relationships. Uh, You know, I'm not saying that that that's for everybody, but for that's going to be one of the, I guess, might be one of the hurdles if Spanish is not your second language or anything like that. And Ada, I don't know who Ada is, but so if anyone has any questions, I'm open to answer them. I hope even if there were no questions that were asked, I hope I covered some of the things that you guys might have been curious about. I know I should probably do like a sizzle reel tour of some of the things that I have been doing and continue to be doing out here. Maybe show you guys a picture of or a video of the passion fruit. I like eating the passion fruit by itself as well. It's super sour. It's delicious. So if you like sour candy, it's a natural candy, a lot of vitamin C. Um, but yeah, so thank you guys very much. I want to thank you. You know, it was actually, pretty nice to be able to share with you guys some of my experiences. Like I said, most of the time I'm I'm behind the curtains. So now you guys get to know who I am in the background and uh, join me here. Check out my biceps. They're much smaller than usual, and I probably weigh much less than before. But I only work out 3 times a week. So stay healthy, be safe, um, enjoy life, travel out there, and look for purpose. Right? There's things. Life's too short. It's weird. Life's too short, but life's also long. So you get